and drink my Big Grove Hi-Fi.
That looks like I have not been to that.
You gonna judge my beer now too?
No.
Want to watch a lawyer squirm? Do's and don'ts. Springs publicly ask legal advice questions on experts in their field. Welcome to GRL Raw's Do's and Don'ts Revised. It's a little different. This year, we are going to be joined by guests of a particular specialty area. And we've decided that we're going to spring publicly asked legal advice questions on experts in the particular fields of law. And so this episode, the very first episode of season 3, I'm joined by our good friend Jill Zwagerman. Woo! Yay.
Yay.
Fellow Bulldog.
Fellow Bulldog.
Undergrad and law school.
Yep. Double D.
Double D. Of the law firm Newkirk Zwagerman. And why don't you give us a little bit of your background, not your whole CV, but like a little bit of your background for the people so they know that you know what you're talking about on these topics.
Okay, so I have been a lawyer for 20 years now.
Man, you're
20
old.
years, so old. And I work almost exclusively in employment law, civil rights, Title IX kind of stuff.
Okay, what's Title IX?
Title IX is the education law that women and men will be treated equally in education.
It's why, never mind.
Why women get to play sports.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Super duper important. It's a super duper important law.
Oh, you get roasted right out of the bat.
Uh-huh.
You were correct.
Yep.
And
I mean, there's more to it than that, right? Like you have to be treated equally in classes and all of the other stuff. But for my purposes that I mostly work on is sports.
okay. You are, one of your specialty areas is athletics.
Absolutely.
Collegiate athletics.
Yep.
Okay. And one subsection, and you use the fancy words to say it, we law-splain around here. Law-splain is just breaking it down to what
Yep.
you're at a bar and you're going to explain it to somebody. Mm-hmm. One area would be sexual harassment is one of the areas that you kick tail on.
Yep.
Okay.
Sexual harassment is bad in the workplace.
It's not allowed.
We frown upon it quite like big frowns, like not just like little medium frowns, like the kind of frowns that make your face say, I am murdering you.
That's not a frown. I believe that's like a, not a frown.
Well, you can't actually be convicted. I mean, you're the criminal law expert, but you can't actually be convicted for trying to murder someone with your face, I don't think, with your facial expressions.
You make a good point.
Right? I don't think you can do that.
Can you be convicted of sexual harassment?
No is the answer because it's all in the civil area. However, I think that there are like sexual assaults that are kind of encompassing of sexual harassment. So there could be a criminal element to it, but generally in my cases, there's not a criminal element.
And we've talked about it in the past on Raw about the difference between the civil and criminal context. What you specialize in is the civil litigation, not litigation, trial work.
Yeah.
We don't call it litigating.
I mean, that's the fancy defense firm for people who don't want to say they're trial lawyers.
Because they push paper and don't try cases.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So real quick, highlight of your career that you could share with the world that's not under a non-disclosure agreement of some sort.
So I have a couple. I had a
Besides today.
For sure. I mean, I can probably retire now because I'm doing a podcast. It's so cool. Like this is like I've done everything except a podcast, and now I'm doing a podcast, so I'm good.
You're welcome.
But besides that, I had kind of a sort of well-known, like in the sports area anyway, a case against the University of Iowa on behalf of an associate athletic director and the field hockey coach. And that was a battle at trial with all the witnesses, all the coaches. Lisa Bluter, who is really hot right now and wonderful,
Crushing it.
was a witness in that case. She was favorable for my
I
client.
was going to ask you, but I didn't want to ask you, so I'll let you volunteer that. So go Hawks.
Yeah, go Hawks. It was great.
Okay.
And so we ended up winning that trial and then ended up having a settlement for over $6 million.
We call that womping that ass.
Yeah, we womped that ass.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was good. And then I've also had a pretty big sexual harassment case that resulted in a $12 million verdict.
I mean, not bad.
Not bad for a single plaintiff sexual harassment claim.
Okay, so you know what the hell you're talking about.
I've had some successes that make it feel like I know what I'm talking about.
I will give you credit.
Uh-huh.
You know what you're talking about on this topic. So without further ado, are you ready for the do's and don'ts? Out of left field. We pull these from public forums. So they're dandies. We're gonna warm you up with an easy one.
Okay. Let's do this, and I'll apologize at the front if I say naughty words.
You're supposed to. It's GRL Raw,
Okay.
not GRL Censored.
Got it.
So you're allowed to express, First Amendment, you're allowed to express yourself. This is not government forum. Let it rip.
Okay.
Okay. Are you ready?
Damn, Bobby, let's go.
All right, here we go. The title of this one
Yes.
is My Girlfriend's Boss Told Her to Break Up with Me. He doesn't even know who I am. Would you consider this sexual harassment? Hold it. I got a story.
Okay.
Long story short, the CEO of my girlfriend's company sat her down today and told her to leave me. I just want to clarify that I have never met this man, and he has never met me, nor does he know anything about me. We are complete strangers to each other. My girlfriend told me that he basically told her that she needs a real man and that her job would be in jeopardy if she didn't break up with me. I told her that sounds like sexual harassment to me or something like that. What do you, they use guys, what do you people think?
Yes, sexual harassment.
Really?
Absolutely.
Well, there's nothing sexual about that.
You can't say if you don't break up with your boyfriend because you need a real man, and oh, by the way, if you don't, your job could be in jeopardy, for it not to be some sort of form of sexual harassment. That is pretty effed up.
Okay.
Pretty effed up.
Mostly.
Mostly effed up.
Not the worst you've seen.
Not the worst I've seen, right?
Not Iowa athletics.
Not I'm not sure, right? Like they have a whole new administration there. Like they're rocking it.
Okay, good. We like that.
Iowa is rocking it.
Go Hawks.
Yeah, go Hawks.
Okay.
Love everything.
Lose
they're
the Bulldogs, but go Hawks. Yeah,
Lose the Bulldogs.
I got it called. Iowa Drake meet. Bulldogs win.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm betting that.
Okay.
No, ladies.
Oh.
See, sexual discrimination
Sexual
on the part of our
discrimination.
partners
Right?
that will
Like,
go unnamed.
You say basketball, and they're like, oh, men. And I have to tell
dudes.
you, give a shit about the men's tournament right now. Sorry, the women's tournament is where it
See
is.
how this worked? This worked out great. Okay, so what are the basic?
Plus, I just love women's sports, so I'm not going to lie.
It depends on the sport for me as a man or a boy, gentleman,
Yeah.
dude, whatever you're going to call it. Some are better than others.
Yeah.
I think. Basketball's on this year. It's going to be the
Basketball
best
is-
tournament ever.
Ever.
Okay, sidetrack.
Yep.
What is required then? What makes something sexual harassment that is actionable? In other words, people, you can get your butt sued for this.
Right. So there's the typical stuff that like physical touchings that are unwelcome, of course, would be sexual harassment.
Question, does it have to be within the confines of the work environment?
It does not.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like you could be at an event that your work could have told you to go to or maybe not even go to, right? Or didn't even know that you were going to. It could be drinks after work or something like that where they may not be responsible for the drinks and the sexual touching that happened after that. But if you go back to work and things are weird and then you report it.
And they don't deal with it?
And they don't deal with it and they don't, try to take the appropriate steps, then that can lead into like a retaliation claim or it can further the sexual harassment. But so you have the physical touchings, but then you also in this this situation, you have a quid pro quo.
What?
Tit for tat.
Can you say that?
Not-
You're not supposed to say that.
You're not,
that sounds
and
naughty.
not in a sexual way. It's just like, I will give you this in exchange for this.
So
And
when
so letting you keep your job in exchange for breaking up with your boyfriend and getting a real man would be like the quintessential form of sexual harassment.
quintessential, that's a big word.
Sorry.
Bring it down.
Bring it down. I think your viewers know what quintessential means.
I don't.
Oh no, you're selling them short. They are
Sorry.
all smarter than you, Bobby.
They are. That's not hard. So, okay, quid pro quo is like the ultimate
It means
F
like
up of sexual harassment,
sleep
right?
with me or I'm gonna fire you.
Yes.
Sleep with me or I'm gonna fire you. Break up with your boyfriend or I'm gonna fire you. If you don't do this, I'll give you a demotion, right? Like there's all of those kinds of things.
Does it have to be sexual, or what if it's like cut your hair or I'm going to fire you?
That is a really good question.
Thank you.
So there's like what we think of in terms of classic sexual harassment, right? Would be that, but there's also harassment based upon your sex or your gender. So if I say, you know, and this is a case I have right now. You look like a dyke with that haircut.
That's okay.
And I'm saying that because that's a quote from the case that I
Yes.
have. That is absolutely sexual harassment.
So is it, and we'll get to the do's and don'ts real quick because this is a very targeted episode, but is it one time? Like, in other words, somebody says the wrong thing at the wrong time at the water cooler or out at happy hour after beers. Is a one time enough to get an employer in trouble?
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. It depends on the severity of it,
Okay.
right? If you have, let's say, a sexual assault in the workplace, that's probably going to be
Done.
enough,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Probably. But if you have one comment that says like, hey, nice ass, that's not going to be enough,
Okay.
right? Like
So
that.
one strike.
Nice, yeah. Which is kind of a weird thing.
It is.
Because what the law also allows is for the employer, like, so if that happens, nice ass, and the woman reports it,
Fired.
or let's change it, the man reports it
Okay.
because the woman is sexually harassing him.
Men
which
can have nice butts.
Men can have amazing butts.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? Men don't also want to necessarily be objectified in the workplace.
Very
Not all
true.
men do.
True.
Some might, just like some women might, but not all men do and not all women do.
Which opens another question, but we're going to stop
Okay.
and we're going to focus.
Yep.
When we're looking at this particular fact pattern,
Yep.
we always have a do's and we always have a don'ts.
Yep.
So if you're going to say do in this situation, what do you tell this person to do?
Go and report your manager, your supervisor as a really freaky, effed up supervisor.
Should the boyfriend report it?
The boyfriend should not report it. She should report it because it is her workplace. The boyfriend reporting it will make it really icky and messy and yucky.
Okay. So if we give a don't in this situation.
Don't tell your employees to break up with their boyfriends. It's none of your effing business.
Yeah. Leave personal, and professional. Don't say stupid shit to people.
Don't say stupid things to people. And
Especially
just-
if it is involving personal relationships, sexual, gender, race, religion.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it off the table.
Right.
And I think another thing we could say in this situation is for this young lady, don't stay quiet.
Right. Because this is a situation that's probably not going to improve
Mm-hmm.
over time, right? If she doesn't report this, the chances of him continuing this behavior seem to be quite high. I mean, that's at least what studies would show. And at least in my experience, when people say, I just thought that if I gave him the cold shoulder and that I turned away, it would go away. And sometimes it might, because those people don't ever call me. But the people who call me are like, that didn't work.
Yep.
And it got worse. And then he got mad. And then when you rebuff those, when you say no to those sorts of examples, I'm not going to break up with my boyfriend, or you just ignore them, then they get mad and they start doing other things and they start messing with your employment in other ways. And that's actually when people call me.
Okay. So don't ignore it.
Don't ignore it.
Do make detailed reports.
Yes.
Handle it. Protect yourself. And if people keep doing stuff like this, call Jill.
Call me.
Yeah.
Call me. But you should always report it to HR or escalate it, because the employer does get a chance to fix it.
Put it in writing as well.
Yeah. I mean, even well, there's a little difference there, and I'm going to get super technical here, but like supervisors, you don't necessarily have to report it.
Okay.
But I mean, most people do not want to be in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And that is true in the civil side. It's true of my clients, the people that I take. They don't generally come to me, and I'm not taking those cases where like, oh, he looked at me funny, and then
you make them earn it.
Well,
No, you don't want to say that, but ultimately that's when action absolutely has to happen.
Unfortunately, it usually is the employer response that makes people really upset. If it is handled properly and, it's dealt with, and then the harassment stops, generally, I would go as far as to say 9 times out of 10, that's going to be enough for people.
Perfect. There we go. Short, sweet, to the point. You survived your first do's and don'ts.
Ooh.
Appreciate you.
Yay.
We got a better one coming up next.
Oh, no.
Thanks for your input, and we'll see you next time.